You've likely figured out by now that there is a name for everything. Negotiation is nothing new. It has been a constant in human transactions and interactions since the very beginning of time. You may be one of those people who aren't particularly fond of tactics because you prefer to be straightforward and forthcoming in your business dealings with others. If you can relate to this comment, be assured of one thing. Whether you choose to use tactics or not, they are being used on you and in some cases against you. They are being used by customers, prospects, and people who sell to you as well. Therefore, it is in your best interests to educate yourself on the tactics in order to prepare for and defend against them. I would recommend that you take a few notes and review the tips and tactics slides more than once to become comfortable with them. Moving on, let's review. Nibbling. Upselling or selling the add-on products or services associated with the initial purchase is how top sales organizations and sales professionals generate a large percentage of their revenues. We all know how well the food industry does with this. Any fast food company that doesn't ask, "Would you like fries with that?" or "Did you wish to upsize that order?" is missing the boat big time. These simple questions account for millions upon millions of additional dollars being pumped into corporations when it is all added up. Once customers have resolved to go ahead with the purchase and the big decision is out of the way, they often feel a sense of relief. At this point, they are usually feeling very good about the whole purchasing experience, and any sales resistance that initially existed is now minimal and sometimes non-existent. Have you purchased a vehicle lately? In larger dealerships, once you've made the purchase, your sales representative escorts you to the F&I, finance and insurance specialist. This is the individual in the dealership responsible for financing the vehicle through a financial institution or through programs available through the manufacturer. They also sell insurance in case you are unable to make your payment commitments due to injury, etc. In addition, they will talk to you about add-on warranties available through the manufacturer, vehicle options that weren't discussed with the sales representative, and the little extras like rust proofing and undercoating. Anyone who has experienced this phase of the purchase knows that these little extras can add up to sizable amounts. This add-on selling is called the nibble. Hot potato. This involves situations where the prospect wants to give you their problem, which stands between you and doing business or resolving a complaint. For example, they may say, "I only have X dollars," which is less than you require for the transaction. Be agreeable, but at the same time, test for validity. Are they as firm as they initially indicated, or are they just attempting to confine you to their terms? Indicate a desire to work towards resolution, but at the same time, don't be a victim or agree to something outrageous. Higher authority. You may use higher authority if you know you need or wish to create the illusion, permission from someone higher up for approval for something. Customers will use this to stall you and work you for additional discounts or concessions by stating they have to present this to their supervisor when in fact no such person exists. Shelf the issue. A very powerful technique under certain circumstances. If the customer presents an issue, you ask permission to shelf it for the time being, promising to come back to it later. Then, at the appropriate moment, you pull the issue off the shelf, reintroduce it, and then use your resolution to close the deal. Good cop, bad cop, reversal. Two sales reps, or rep and a manager, can play good cop, bad cop with a customer. One is obliging and likable, while the other is rigid and stern. Your customers will also use this technique on you. Diffuse potential arguments. 3 F's and be agreeable. I understand how you feel. Others have felt the same way. But after explaining this situation, what we found is always agree with people no matter what they say. Being agreeable is important. Arguing forces them to defend their position. Be cautious with your use of feel, felt, found. This is a basic technique that is widely taught and overly used. If improperly applied, it can come across as fake or even condescending. If you are going to use this, I recommend changing it up. For instance, I fully appreciate your concern. Initially, other clients raised similar red flags. However, once we offered a more in-depth analysis, they were comfortable with the recommendation. Dumb is smart and smart is dumb. Playing dumb is sometimes the smartest thing to do. You may ask a question like, "I'm totally baffled. Can you explain to me how you think we might do what you are asking?" Acting too smart or sophisticated can breed competition. Introducing competition into a sales interaction between yourself and the prospect is seldom a good idea. You may win the battle of the minds. However, you may miss out on the business opportunity. Always ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to get paid? Reciprocal trade-off. In this situation, the customer or sales rep gives up something in order to get something else in return that is important to them. If you want to win the business without bending on something that is important to you, then this is an excellent technique to apply. It allows you to give from one area and take from another in order to maintain the perception of value that you want to uphold. Communicate walkaway power. This is your ability to get up and walk away from the table. I want to work with you, but I don't need to work with you. I'd appreciate your business and the opportunity to serve you as a client, but I don't have to have your business. This isn't an attitude of arrogance. It is, however, a way of making it known that you won't be victimized or taken advantage of. When you maintain the power to walk away, you don't present yourself as desperate, you maintain your position of strength, and in some cases, also your dignity. Focus on the issues. This is a core competency and skill that is critical in more ways than we could cover. Not only does it apply in selling, it applies in customer service, in managerial instances, and well beyond the scope of your professional life. It is very easy for a customer to get off on a tangent or bring issues into the picture that don't apply, especially if the situation becomes emotionally fueled. Calmness must prevail. Don't allow yourself to become sidetracked. Keep attention focused on what is most important. Take the lead and in a positive and professional manner, bring the customer back to the main concerns at hand rather than permit extenuating issues to add fuel to the fire. The further you climb up the ranks and the more complex your selling opportunities become, the more important this ability will become. The vice technique. This technique is applied in order to squeeze more out of the other party. They may say, "I'm sorry, you'll have to do better than that." There's always room for improvement, and shrewd negotiators know that most salespeople will, out of desperation, often come back with something better. If this technique were used on you, how would you respond? We have already covered some techniques that could apply, like communicating walkaway power or reciprocal trade-off, and there are more to come. Be the reluctant seller. People who don't necessarily need the money and who aren't desperate to part with an item don't care one way or the other if they sell the item. Obviously, most people in sales want to make a sale. This technique can be applied in certain instances. In this situation, you would act as if you have a sentimental item that you're selling, and then if you can't get the price, terms, and conditions you're asking for, then it doesn't really matter. Even if the technique isn't applicable, the attitude is worthy of consideration. It can make the difference in terms of desperation, which in turn creates an imbalance in negotiation power. Flinch. This is a surprised action or motion when asked for something that is or you want them to think is outrageous. You've no doubt observed a scene in a movie where one of the actors says, "Ouch," followed by, "Can I have my arm back?" Consider this. If you really were asked for something outrageous, would you physically flinch? Using this technique can definitely work to your advantage. I guarantee that experienced negotiators will use it against you. Never say yes the first time. It sends a message that either the item is overpriced to begin with, or that they should have asked for more because you jumped on it so quickly. If you are prepared to accept a counteroffer, be slow to say yes. Give it thoughtful consideration. You may even want to counteroffer before accepting. It's important to posture yourself properly. If you don't project any hesitation or counter the offer, you may find that they do just because they didn't like your hasty acceptance. Play the high-low, meet in the middle game. In this situation, the sales representative starts high, the customer cuts the figure back to a lower number, and then this offer is countered until you eventually end up meeting in the middle. This is also known as split the difference. An outrageous negotiator may offer a low number that is well beyond reason. In this case, getting caught in this kind of a negotiation can be ridiculous. If this happens, you may have to say that you would like to work with them, however, what they are asking isn't reasonable. Ask them if they are prepared to make an offer that is more reasonable, in which case you will do what you can to work with them. If they counter with something that you can work with, then you might attempt to work towards splitting the difference. Ask for more. As the name says, this is when you ask for a larger commitment, greater quantities, or product mixes. In some situations, this is a wonderful negotiation technique. You may have quoted the prospect on a rate that is pallet volume, and they may have asked you for a rate that only applies to truckload volume. In a case such as this, you can apply one of the previously mentioned techniques. Then you could ask if they'd be prepared to commit to a larger quantity if you could get them closer to the price range that they offered. If you are able to establish that they have the finances, the storage space, then you could propose that it might be possible to offer them a further discount if they would be agreeable to a truckload. For some people, negotiation is a sport, and for others, it is serious business. Whether you like it or not, many of the people that you interact with in business are always looking to get a leg up on you. Remember what Orlando Batista said, "The fellow who says he'll meet you halfway usually thinks he's standing on the dividing line." Learning Spotlight number 3. It's time to review what we've covered so far. Each question in the quiz has a 90-second time limit, and the quiz has a 15-minute time limit. You cannot pause the quiz once you begin. The quiz includes many types of questions, including true or false, drag and drop, multiple answers, etc. Read the questions carefully and make sure you understand what is being asked before submitting your response. Many of the questions or variations of them will be included in the final exam. You will be graded, and the passing grade for the quiz is 70%. You will have 3 chances to attain a passing grade. If you fail to attain a passing grade after 3 attempts, you will be locked out of the course. You will have an opportunity to review the quiz responses upon successful completion. If you wish to review the previous slides and sections, do so before advancing. Upon completion of the quiz, please click on the green Next button with the white arrow in order to advance to the next step in the learning path. This concludes step number 6 of the learning path. Please click on the green Next button with the white arrow in order to advance when you are ready to proceed.